Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the session today. And as the tradition is going and everything happening, my namaste to everybody. And specifically, I will. Am I audible to everyone? Specifically, some of my team members who are helping me with the audio check
Yes,
across
sir.
the country.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because so you will help me know if there is any audio issue at any point of time, and I would also leave it to all our friends on the call and
sure, sir.
To let me know. So what I'm going to do right now is possibly just inform everyone that centrally we have switched off your speaking mics, but if you want to put them on at any point of time, it's totally under your control. You can put them on. Similarly, your videos are also centrally kind of shut down from our side, but you can enable it whenever you want. So in order to be sure on the bandwidth, I'll also take away the video for some time for myself. And thanks for joining us for this talk, this discussion, this webinar today. And my computer screen is available and is visible to all of you. I would be shifting between my PowerPoint presentation a bit. I'll probably go a little bit into the browser. And if the bandwidth and everything permits, then possibly show you a couple of important videos. All of this stuff that we talk and discuss today will be available for you at a later date also to view and refer to. So once again, thank you very much for coming over. It's a very interesting time for all of us in this country, and it's changing so rapidly every 10 minutes. What we were thinking yesterday of this crisis has got possibly changed today, and possibly what's going to happen, what we are thinking today will change tomorrow. There are so many sets of news that is coming to us from every direction. There is so much of analysis which is coming to us from every direction. It is unbelievable. Seriously, at least in my entire life, I have never ever encountered anything like this. And I'm sure most of us here, and most of us are 100%, everybody here has not encountered anything like this. And this is what is the concern that is now troubling us, and it's hitting our heads. And we at Franklin Covey thought that whilst we have always been proud of some of the stuff that we do, some of the material that we have, I thought it was my duty to possibly present the work of some of our thought leaders, our management gurus, people who have done tremendous work, showcasing how to handle adverse conditions, showcasing how to handle exigencies, emergencies. You may say this is so different from that. I do agree. Of all the emergencies and exigencies that we have seen and maybe we would see, this is so unprecedented. But still, my endeavor and our endeavor here would be to bring to you certain thoughts, certain information, knowledge sets, some tool sets, some skill sets. Some of them you're aware, 100%, which just may help us in all the brilliant effort that so many people across this globe are doing to handle this mammoth crisis that we are all facing these days. So my agenda here essentially is to ensure that we work extremely closely with you over these weeks as a company and provide whatever we have to provide and seek your support from your side in whatever you can. So you'll hear more such efforts happening. We equally have the same levels of anxieties, have the same level of issues that each one of us is. So I would take the next 45 minutes with all of you, taking you through this presentation, and please do feel free to put your comments in the chat box, and may not during this 45 minutes to an hour we may be able to answer all of them, but I am 100% sure, we assure you that we will get back to you on that ASAP basis if we have an answer, and if we don't, then we'll find an answer if there is one to give you some insights about what have you been asking. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. It is unprecedented times. We have not seen things like this. Because I am facing, okay, there it is. So if you see in the last 10 decades, we did our research over these last few weeks, and we found that not even the world wars, or neither of the any diseases or famines that have broken apart in this world in the last 10 decades, 100 years, has been so unpredictable and so ambiguous. It is absolutely unbelievable the way the ambiguity and the uncertainty that exists with this particular crisis. These are some of those diseases, some of the flus, some of the viruses that we have seen. Some of them we know, some of them we have heard. May God bless. None of them we would have experienced, but these are the ones that we have been watching and listening to them. And I mean, I have not put in some of the ones, but these were never so uncertain. We never had this levels of uncertainty and ambiguity, because possibly they were either regionalized, or possibly we knew that there was a cure which was coming. People were working on a cure. It didn't have that kind of an impact. Maybe it didn't have that kind of an effect of the spread it was happening. Unbelievable. So what is happening in front of us, ladies and gentlemen, is something that this world hasn't seen. And that is why this one is really unprecedented. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just trying to, I mean, yes, it is scary, but there is something good to, see what is the scare part of it, because once we know the scare part of it, we possibly jump and delve into and seeing what can we do to handle that. Right now, the source is unknown. Where has it come from? Nobody knows. There are thousands of theories which are floating. Where has it come from? I don't know that. Nobody knows that, really. Cure is also unknown. Tests have not yet started, or somewhere they say just started. It is spreading from human to human, which I think is most difficult for us to manage, because we are so many of us and we live with each other. So it's spreading from us to us. It is unbelievable on that front. It is spread across the world now, all continents, and some of the countries which we thought living in India were disease-proof. In fact, some of the countries actually themselves thought they were disease-proof and possibly now struggling. We always thought we were never disease-proof. So possibly the shock is not as huge, but it's now huge because of all these reasons. It is spreading faster. We are on stage 2 in India. Today's news says that we are not gone into stage 3, and thank God. And we'll do everything to make sure, and all of us on this call in our circle of influence, to make sure that we don't go to stage 3. Because if we can control it at stage 2, which is where it is now not gone to community spread, which is stage 3 is community spread, I think we may be able to control. I'm looking forward to the Prime Minister's speech tonight on television at 8 o'clock to find out what all solutions is he planning to give us. And seriously, I'm committed as an individual, not a follower of any party or an individual, but committed to the nation to follow some of those things that they will ask us to do if required. Very interesting. Symptoms are very deceptive. They just look like common cold. They're like flu, and they move into something else. Unbelievable. It is affecting our lives really adversely. I'll tell you why. Because we have got into social inaction. We have to reduce social interactions. There is shutdown. It looks like, I remember 1971 when India was fighting its war with Pakistan. And I remember the shutdown that time used to happen. I was a little kid at that time, but the vivid memories are there, that how there were trenches behind our homes. And, in the evening, there used to be a siren which used to go at times. And me, my mom, my dad, and everybody used to run down the back of the house and, kind of slip into those trenches. Absolute, shutdowns. But this is much bigger than that, because this is like a total day shutdown. It's not like a 4-hour, 6-hour shutdown. Stay at home, work from home. I mean, seriously, we love to work from home. Who would not? But not in these circumstances. We would love to stay at home, but not in these circumstances. And the stay at home, work from home is leading to a very interesting mindset now. Agree or don't agree, but directly, indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly, the protect myself and my loved one mindset is now starting to prevail. Or it could lead to serious issues on the long-term basis. We are not made as human beings to be not socially active. We are human beings, have been made by whoever, nature, God, whoever we believe in, as simply people who focus on social interaction. If you read the various theories that the big, scientists have promoted, 4 common needs are there for any human being. And these common psychological needs, there are many other common needs, but 4 common psychological needs that any human being has is the need for social interaction, need for acceptance, need for perfection, and need to avoid risks. This is common with all of us. Some of them is higher for somebody, some of them is lower for somebody, but the research globally has shown that these 4 are common. And the research further had shown for years that the need for social interaction out of these 4 tends to also overrule the other 3 at times. So socially interactive people who are social animals have been asked to stack up inside their homes and stay away, shut down, reduce social interaction. It's troubling us. Hence, lot of fear, because fear comes out of loneliness, and it's leading to myopic thinking, me, and me. And people on this call, people on this webinar with me will agree that all of us have a very important role to play in our life, whether it's in our personal life and professional life. And that is why we are trying to do this little talk with all of you to say that, hey, friends, what should we do in this situation where the external circumstances don't run down my life and don't totally control my thinking, that it becomes me, and me. And it's tending to become me, and me. Maybe not for everybody, but it's tending to become that. So we got to be careful. We need to be sure that we don't fall that trap, and we also don't others fall that trap. But by staying totally safe, the safety measures cannot be at all diluted. The security measures, the hygiene measures cannot be diluted. The uncertainty, ambiguity needs to be handled by us, by being a leader now. I loved what I read a book by Dr. Stephen Covey. It's called The Leader in Me. And when we got that book, we thought he was talking about the leaders in corporate life. And he said, no, the leaders that we are talking about is in schools, the children, because there is a leader inside everybody. So when we talk of a leader, we don't talk about a leader with a designation. We talk about a leader because we end up leading lives for ourselves, and we end up also influencing and leading lives for others. So who are these leaders? I mean, today they are political, community, and government. We really look up to them. We have to look up to them. The medical fraternity is today going to be one of the most critical leaders that we are looking up to, and including them are also a lot of engineers and scientists and researchers. So our sense of responsibility is going to give all of these people a great level of strength, and security agencies, and us as leaders in our family, team at work, and our community. My dear friends, the next slide that I'm going to show you is a very interesting slide, because when it looks at us, we have to look at our leadership at these 4 levels. And these 4 levels is something that sometimes is known to us, but it becomes unknown. Our leadership is at leading myself. My leadership is leading others, interpersonal relationship. My leadership is in terms of the roles that I play in life, whether I'm a team leader, whether I'm a manager, whether I'm a team player, or I'm a father, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a brother, I'm a sister. All those are managerial, the roles that I manage on day-to-day life. And at my organizational level, which could be my company, could be my society, or could be my nation, or could be the global community overall. I'll go back again: personal, interpersonal, managerial, and organizational. And at all 4 levels, the life is going to be absolutely inside out in this crisis also. Please don't depend on others to do something for us. We have to depend on us to do everything for us, and the others will always fall in place. How? Like this. This is first takeaway that possibly, we could say that if personally I'm constantly working in creating my personal trustworthiness as a leader, my trustworthiness with myself, with making sure that I am building my trustworthiness with myself I will be able to create a very high degree of trust with others. And if there is others who start to trust me, the word empowerment starts to come in with the people that I work with. And if people that I work with are empowered, specifically with these new model emerging in the working style, a lot of people have come back and said, hey, this work from home is so different. People who are working from home are saying work from home is so different. I don't have the same infrastructure. I don't have the same environment. I don't know how to handle. There's so much of disturbance. There is so much of loneliness. I don't know what to do. This, contradicting statements. So the empowerment will come out of an individual's trustworthiness, leading to interpersonal trust, leading to empowerment, and finally the alignment. This solution will come out. That is guaranteed. And for that, we have to start making sure that we start aligning to the overall goals of our organization or our family or our nation or our society. And for that, each one of us will have to start working on our personal trustworthiness. Ladies and gentlemen, this personal trustworthiness is going to be the big key on our day-to-day working. First takeaway that we have all need to start working on. And once we have started working on our us as a leader, and that's what we are looking at, and that's what the leadership vaccine is all about. So I'm starting to put the ingredients of the vaccine and the salt of the vaccine and the parts of the leadership vaccine. Most important is we don't panic, neither we do let others panic. And I'm sure as parents, a lot of us on the call are doing that so effectively at home these days, and are doing so effectively with our team members also. And we are talking to every day to ourselves saying, no, I'm not going to panic, neither let others panic. And how do we do that? Please share right, intelligent, and proactive diagnosis and information. If you're not sure about right and intelligent and proactive diagnosis, I would suggest stay away from that information. Make sure that the source of the information is absolutely validated. I think as responsible leaders, managers, and citizens, we really need to work on this and make sure that right, intelligent, and proactive information is shared. Otherwise, we keep quiet about it. We don't get into any of that stuff. Excite and motivate people to follow basic requirements, both of hygiene and of our behaviors, not just hygiene. Hygiene is critical, hand washing, stay away from people, all that stuff that we are hearing every day. And I think the government and the media is doing a fairly good job on that, on letting us know everything. I think there is a behavioral part of it also that we need to excite people on the basic requirements of our behavior. I'm going to talk a little bit about it very soon. We have to help guide and teach people and teams to innovate, to find new and better solutions for both personal and business models. Sales teams are shifting like to virtual meetings. There is a lot happening in the world through the virtual platform. My wife teaches in a school, and right now these teachers are working in their schools, building daily classes through Zoom platform. And it's such a new thing for them. They don't even have ever opened that thing on their apps, on their mobile phone, but they're all learning. So the teaching is shifting there. There's a lot of app-based stuff happening right now. And if you're part of that world, rather than panicking, I would say, please add value to all of us by getting stuff where our productivity moves in the direction that it needs to, and we can find some solutions. So it's time for serious innovation, not just creativity, because creativity with action becomes innovation. Creativity in the air is very esoteric. Sometimes we sit in the evening and we have a lot of big talk. This could happen, and that could happen, and that could happen, and this could happen. Beautiful, superb, do it. But please make that further actionable. See it if it can be added with supported by a process that leads to the innovative technology. So creativity, when it's supported by action, processes, systems, leads to innovation. Innovation stays. What matters today is innovation. Please, so keep thinking, be creative, move to innovation. Ask your teams to move to innovation. You'll be surprised. Some of those youngest people, some of the classiest people might be possibly the biggest innovators in your team at this point of time. So don't stop them from giving ideas. The more they give ideas, the better it is. As I was listening to one of the White House briefing a few days back, and they said that the biggest responsibility of saving the world today lies in the hands of the millennials today, because they are the people who are possibly the most secure keeping in view their age profile and their sturdiness to fight disease. Their immunity levels are fantastic. God bless them. They are the people who possibly, and if some of them are reporting to us, working with us, being a part of our team, we got to really motivate them to start thinking on these lines and not fall trap to, the problems that the world is facing. Whilst they need to be concerned about it, but some of the innovation will come from them. And you'll be surprised that once you start to get stuff from them. I was, when we talk, our biggest vulnerable lot today is people born in the years of 46 to 65, 1946 to 1965, the so-called baby boomers, as they were called, that generation. Those are today under the possibly the highest risk in terms of the age profile. And who can take care of them? The millennials, the best, because the millennials will have to understand that they might be also the highest carriers for this, because they are so solid in terms of their immunity. But so they need to practice some of all the stuff that the government is saying, so that this disease can be there, controlled by them, and vanished by them, killed by them, as I would use the word here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is extremely interesting to see that today's world does not require adversarialistic thinking anymore. I think, a lot of that exists around us. We need to really get out of this, and adversarialism needs to be totally discouraged. Totally discouraged. We cannot work on adversarialism. We can't even work as, people who don't show courage, people who don't show consideration. We need to show courage. We need to show consideration. We get into adaptive thinking, not just collaborative thinking, but adaptive thinking, because these are unprecedented times. We don't even know what's happening around us. So therefore, whatever is happening around us, we need to adapt to those thinking. Other day, my daughter was telling me, "Dad, calm down. Don't worry." And it was maintain composure. Yes, if you are not having the right kind of composure and calmness, what will happen to the others who are dependent on you, who look up to you? Stay away from these very important 5 metastasizing cancers. I'm going a little fast because this is no rocket science. As leaders, my sincere request, focus to all of us would be, these 5 metastasizing emotional cancers in the current situation could be highly, highly destructive. We are not here to compete. We are not here to compare. We are not here to complain. We are not here to contend, and neither are we here to criticize. These 5 metastasizing cancers, emotional cancers, behaviorally kill the dynamics of human beings. They have been very counterproductive, but in the current situation, they are not counterproductive, that they can be extremely, extremely, they take us down the spiral, and they will help us actually making this problem go bigger and bigger than it is today. So the cancer, the emotional cancers need to be really looked into. And most important on that is, this is what is confronting reality. And we need to understand that the change is happening, as it is always, but this time the change is happening possibly in a direction where we don't want it to happen. So in order to now manage this change well, let me just bring in front of you a small model which we call as the change model. And this change model really is helpful. I'll show you how. Change happens through this. What we see is what we do, and is what we get. So see leads to do, and do leads to get. This is how it happens. My see, the way I look at things, leads me to do things. The way I do things leads me to get the results out of it. And this is the entire, and my get then further conditions my see, my paradigm. When we are going through this change model, there are only 2 things happen, ladies and gentlemen. One, either change leads to prosperity, or change can lead to pain. Most of the time, change should lead us to prosperity. And how? This way. Just look at the center of the slide. When we are going through the change process, we are aligned to principles, natural laws, principles of nature. I think this problem also has a reason that somewhere there has been a violation of the natural laws. I don't know what that violation is, but I'm forced to believe that such a big calamity, such a big unprecedented event cannot happen if there was no violation of natural laws. So therefore, if we now have to manage this particular change, friends, the biggest thing that we are looking at is now looking at that how can we manage this change, and how do we do that? We get these natural laws, these principles that affect us positively at the center of our decision making. There is a saying called principle-centered living. There is also a book by Stephen Covey, which he wrote, was Principle-Centered Living. And he very nicely said that if you get principles in the center of your life, that means all your decisions that you take today, all your actions that you take today are governed by the natural laws, are governed by principles of life. It is guaranteed that change takes us towards prosperity. So we are in a distressed situation. We have to come out of it and we have to move towards prosperity. And how do we move towards prosperity is possibly some of the principles of living, some of the principles that will work in this situation, some of the principles that may just help us managing our direction in this high difficult seas that our boat is really negotiating its way through. Some of the principles of PCL that may be applicable here, my dear friends. First one, please pass the amygdala test. Your intent counts more than technique. And when you are in the leadership role, when you're being with people, in the leadership role, when you're leading your teams, when you're leading your family, when you're leading your elders, when being a team player, you're making an impact on your team. What matters today for people would be your intent more than any technique that we apply. So our brain has this little part called the amygdala. And, you know, the amygdala helps us understand the emotional text. You know, if your intent is pure, it passes your brain's emotional test. You know, that the vibes are there, you say? There are vibes that I felt from this person. And those vibes were real. You know what? Your intent, which was coming out of your body language, your words, your eyes, your actions, passed the amygdala test of emotional trueness. So today, it's the highest time for us to display our highest level of intent for our people, for our teams. And that intent has to be displayed. It cannot be just today left for people to decipher. I think we have to spell out our intent today, that we are there with you. Let's be together in it. So my request to you would be that this would be the first principle that you may want to keep in your mind while you're leading your team. Second, we operate from a circle of influence and then only seek solutions. The circle of concern is huge. The circle of influence is where I can influence. Start working on the circle of influence. Let it expand. Let it take over the circle of concern. Each one of us has to work on our circle of influence, which is in my control, the one that I can influence, and we move forward, increasing our circle of influence. So if the circle of influence is a little bit of social inaction, so be it. If the circle of influence is a little bit of a shutdown, so be it. If the circle of influence is reduce a little bit of travel, so be it. If the circle of influence is to work from home, so be it. If it is about hygiene habits, so be it. If it's supposed to be cleaning your hand 5, 6, 10 times a day, so be it. If it's maintaining distance from your loved ones, so be it. It'll help. We will not go from stage 2 to stage 3 in our country, and that's our biggest endeavor today, is not to move from stage 2 to stage 3. And believe me, once we don't, then we move back to stage 1, and we move back to stage 1, and we move back in business, and we move back in business, and our jobs are there, our companies are there, our salaries are back in action, our stock market is back in action. It will come back, guaranteed. But the point is, our circle of influence is where we need to focus on. So don't worry about what's happening in the circle of concern, and don't beat around the bush in this way. Let's get back to our circle of concern. Another principle, be a transition figure. Very interesting. Many of you have seen them around your home. Sometimes it is your mom, sometimes it is your dad, sometimes it is you, sometimes it is your spouse, your wife, your husband, sometimes it is your young children, your grown-up children, sometimes it is just a neighbor. And this transition figure is a person who stands between negative patterns, listens to them, understands them, but never passes them on as negative, always passes them on as positive patterns. And if you really want to see some of these, you have them around you. You are maybe one of them, and you must have done it hundreds of times. So be a transition person. We are going to take a pledge today that we will not let negative patterns pass us. We will look at the negative patterns, we'll analyze them, convert them into positive patterns, and pass on to the others. This is going to be path-breaking, and it is not difficult at all. And you have so many of these people around you at your work as well as at home. Think win-win. I think it is not just do win-win. Do win-win is step 2. Think win-win. I will not hoard. I will not take away others' things. I will be balanced. I will make sure that I can help others. I have to come from a mindset of win-win. Not easy in adverse conditions. In fact, the most difficult behavior to display in adverse and difficult times. Most difficult behavior is to think win-win. How can I think win-win? I have to only think me. But at least don't think lose for others. Even if you can't think win for others, don't think lose for others. Okay, I'm going to think at myself, but I will not think at pushing other people down. And that is going to be great. I think all of us have been thinking on it, and we are working very smartly towards it. One of the graphics that comes in my face is, here is the one. Think win-win is what we are going to lose at. The others may not be of any major consequence. Others may not be any. Neither am I going to lose, neither am I going to make other people lose. Let me see how can I at least start thinking win-win, because thinking win-win is the foundation of prosperity. Will it come tomorrow? No. Can it start today? Yes, 100%. And if you can work on this mindset, works very well. One of the most commonly used phrase today in the world is, hey, you're not thinking win-win. You're not thinking win-win. Yeah, sure. Or you're not doing win-win, or you're not doing win-win. Fair. We'll at least start it by thinking win-win. Let us see how much can we do win-win also after that. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be proactive. We have to be really proactive. We have to be responsible. We have to be there for our teams. We have to be there for our family. We have to be there for our nation. We have to be there for our society by keeping full safety of ourselves also. And by being proactive, these are the 4 critical endowments that the Almighty and the nature has given to all of us. We all have these great natural endowments that the nature has given us. I think this is not a better time for us to use all 4 of them. Build your self-awareness. Go into understanding what is true and what is not true. Go work on your imagination, your creativity and innovation to see what can I do to sail out of it. Your conscience will drive you towards the right part of it. And you have the sense of your independent will to take your decisions. So use all these 4 endowments and things will move beautifully for us in the coming days. My focus is that you may say, Lavleen, it's easier said than done. I agree, but we need to try. We can't let it go. And somebody, sometimes have come back, some people have come back and told me, hey, you're asking us to try, but what? So this presentation is all about not just esoteric knowledge, but we're trying to give you some tools also, some of these which you can possibly keep in your mind while you're thinking on these things. I will take a little pause here now, and I'll ask my colleague Vikas to run a small 4-minute video with Dr. Stephen Covey. It's a very nice video, and it talks about being proactive, and it talks about a couple of small examples of how being proactive were practiced and how it can be built into your day-to-day living and day-to-day interaction. So carry your own weather. If you can run quickly, some of you would have seen it. Some of you, it's just about a 3 odd minute long video, and I'm sure you'll like it. So I will stop sharing my screen, Vikas.
Sure, sir.
And so I'll say stop share, and if you can run this, and the moment you finish, you stop share and I'll come back to this.
Right, sir.
Monday morning, and it's raining. A gray, melancholy day. On a day like this, maybe we can be excused for feeling gray and melancholy ourselves. We get into a mood, and the whole day seems to go badly. Don't you feel better when the weather outside is great? But what if you could carry your own weather within you? What about the social world we live in? Don't you feel better when you're treated better? That's being reactive to what we could call the social weather, the social culture. When you carry your weather with you, you can choose to be consistent regardless of how people treat you. That's what it means to be proactive. Being reactive is the opposite of being proactive. Not taking responsibility for our own life. You always see yourself as a victim of the weather, of your moods, of someone who has it in for you. Years ago, I was doing research in a library in Hawaii. While thumbing through a book, I came across an idea that changed my whole outlook. The author said something like this: between what happens to us, that is the stimulus, and our response is a space. In that space lies our power and our freedom to choose our response. And in those choices lie our growth and our happiness. This insight sunk deep into my heart. Even in the midst of challenging circumstances, we have this exhilarating power to choose how we will respond. For instance, the great Viktor Frankl, the Jewish Austrian psychiatrist imprisoned in the death camps of Nazi Germany during World War II, experienced unbelievable indignities and tortures. He was raised to believe that you are basically a product of your childhood. But while he was in the death camp, he began to observe some very interesting things. Different people reacted differently to the same circumstances. He himself experienced terrible things. Some of his own loved ones were killed. One day they stripped him, put him under lights, and performed experiments upon his body. At that lowest possible point, he discovered what he called the last human freedom, the power to choose your own response to any condition, to anything that happens to you. During his darkest moments, Frankl would visualize himself lecturing to his students in Austria following his release. He pictured himself teaching them about the very experiences he was having then. He came to believe that the most basic human capability of all is that between stimulus and response, man has the freedom to choose. Frankl later determined the thing that enabled survival in the death camps was not necessarily intelligence or survival skills, but a sense of purpose, a contribution yet to be made. This became the basis for his brilliant autobiography, Man's Search for Meaning. It's not what people do to us that hurts us. It's our chosen response to what they do that hurts us. As Gandhi put it, they cannot take away our self-respect if we do not give it to them. We must simply never build our emotional life around the weaknesses of other people. Otherwise, we give them permission to continue to mess up our lives. We give our future away. We have the power and the freedom to choose, to create our own weather each day. As Fulton J. Sheen once said, each of us makes his own weather, determines the color of the skies in the emotional universe, which he inhabits.
Thank you, Vikas. I think one of those very important times that we have to really carry our own weather now, and carry our own weather in terms of how we can, you know. So Vikas, are you letting me share my screen now?
Yes, sir. Please.
I can. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I go to desktop, right? That's where I go to.
Yes, sir. Click on desktop.
Is my screen visible to you now?
No, sir.
Not yet. Okay. I think it will be now.
Yes.
Sure. So this particular slide and this particular video always motivates me to say, I think I am in charge of my life. I will influence others for good. I will make sure that I use my 4 endowments and sail out of the adverse conditions. And I will choose not to be a victim. And I will live by the governing principles of life and the governing principles of the community today. I think both are wonderfully applying to us today. Both are standing right in front of our eyes, ladies and gentlemen, asking us to respond to them. And am I saying, are we not responding? No, I'm not. I'm saying we are responding. But we possibly have to motivate a lot of others around us to also respond exactly in that wonderful, responsible way we are all trying to do. And these are my teams, these are my family, this is my community. And in these very difficult times that possibly the world is facing, we need to roll out of it with courage, with consideration, using our decision-making, using our choices correctly, and make sure that we defeat this challenge which has come. And we need to stand by ourselves, friends, and that's where some of these principles will help. You know, when I say, be there, be responsible, be proactive. Build trust. I talked a little bit about this few slides back. I'll give you a little more on that. I talked about building trustworthiness as the core of myself, which leads to trust, which leads to empowerment, and which leads to alignment. If you remember the slideshow, my personal trustworthiness leads to trust with others. And when others and me trust each other, it leads to empowerment of everybody. And if there is empowerment, there is alignment. Trustworthiness is a combination of character and competence. So tomorrow, if you have to tell your teams, trust me, I will do everything for you, or I will give you the right advice, or I will give you the right solution, or I'm working on the solution, they will only trust us if we have the right displayed combination of both character and competence. So we have to work more harder on this now. And if we feel that we have the wonderful strength of our character and competence, then ladies and gentlemen, this is the time to overtly display it. And I'm using the word overtly. There are many people waiting around us to see that character and competence combination of ours so that they get inspired and motivated to handle their situation in this difficult time. Most critical at this point of time. These words that I'm using are not words of wisdom coming out of me. I am just a facilitator. I am just conveying the messages of some of those top management gurus who have conveyed this for years and who have built on it for years, and I'm passing on to you. In fact, friends, whilst we work on this, I am going to share some of other tools like focus on the lead measures. Time is not to focus on the lag measures. We have to focus on the lead measure. And what is the lead measure today in this unprecedented situation? Like when we have to lose weight, the lead measure is not to stand on the weighing machine. That is a lag measure. The lead measure is to eat the right calories. And saying in the same current situation, the lead measure is everything that the government and the doctors are prescribing us to do on a daily basis, whether it's work from home or it's hygiene habits or it's social inaction right now, or a little bit of a shutdown, distancing. All is the lead measure. The more we focus on the lead measures, the more is the result is what we want will happen. We won't go to stage 3. And this applies every day at work. Guaranteed all of you are doing this at work. Whether it's a sales manager, it's a quality head, it's a service leader, it's an L&D leader, it's an L&D manager, it's an HR head, it's an HR manager. All of us today who are successfully running their show are because they are focusing on their lead measures. I think we need to do that same today in our daily personal lives also, as well as with our team members who are working with us on a daily basis. Listen and listen with empathy and sympathy. You know, somebody said, like air, oxygen is to my life, listening is the psychological air for relationships. So, and it's the psychological air, that's the word with listening. And with both empathy and sympathy, not necessarily just one. And the difference is very simple. In exactly 2 lines, I will explain you what I have learned from some of these experts. You empathize when you are a person who has not experienced what the other person is experiencing, either pain or gain. You provide, that is empathy. When I am talking to somebody and trying to align with the person on an experience that he or she has had, but I have not had, I empathize. If he or she has had an experience and I've also had the same share of experience of pain and gain, I sympathize. So in leadership roles, empathy works more than sympathy because you may not have every experience every person has had. You'll have to really position your empathy skills well. And empathy cannot happen unless you're listening. That is why empathetic listening is a key tool and a skill today that any leaders would use anywhere, at home, at work, in community, everywhere. In fact, today I have seen empathy being taught to youngsters in school. You know, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-olds being taught about how to be empathetic listeners. And your children will surprise you one day saying, Dad, I understand what empathy is. And you're not practicing one of those. Mom, I love the way you practice empathy today. So we need to also do the same with us and with our members. In distress, it works like magic. Listening in distress is magic. It will change the world. It will get that beautiful smile, that genuine smile and motivation back into the minds and hearts of the people that we want it to. There's a principle called no involvement leads to no commitment. So therefore, the involvement here has to be ours first, ensuring our safety, also fully and first, and then we move into, like it's very simple, they say it in the aircraft, before assisting others, put on your safety gas mask, whatever, then air mask. Same applies here. Put on your mask, then we ask, and today the mask has become such a common thing here. I mean, everybody's putting on masks. So therefore, yeah, put on your mask, put on your N95, and also ensure that others also put on their N95. And the moment there is involvement by us as business leaders, you'll see involvement by the others also. But no compromise on safety, please. Not at all. No compromise on safety. We move forward. Very important. We are possibly coming towards the end, but very, very important. Your language today will be key to people's courage and trust. And I'm using both words here. Courage that people will display in a situation of distress, and the trust they will display in people like us and who are helping them or lead their professional life today, and saying, hey, I can trust this man, I can trust this lady, I can trust this team. They may be giving us the right idea. Yeah, this company is that trustworthy today because of you. And your language will be critical today. Reactive language will not help. Proactive language. I'm afraid is not the word. I will, I shall, I will surely are the words and language has to be polite. I think it's a time to be larger, more humble, and polite with everybody, specifically through your body language and your spoken language. It's a nice quote. During difficult times where you focus your energy and language, you use has a profound impact on your team's influence and your customers' perceptions. Why only just us? Now comes our customers also, because they're also looking up to us and saying, well, you've been providing us a lot of nice solutions, non-difficult times, regular difficult times of business difficulties. This is different difficult times. Show us some more light. And if you are communicating correctly, appropriately, maybe it helps. Stay connected. Your displayed energy and true sense of care will be the key. Displayed energy. This is not the time, ladies and gentlemen, to be purely subtle. So an overt display of positive energy and a true sense of care. Maybe you still may not be able to offer any solution. True sense of care doesn't mean I can offer you a solution. True sense of care also means I don't know, but I'm helpless. I want to, but I'm there. I won't run away. I'm there. I won't run away. That true sense of care. So your displayed energy, overt displayed energy, will be a tremendous levels of motivation to a lot of people around us, around you. Esoteric knowledge won't help. Tool sets and skill sets will be the key. And what I mean by that, this is what I mean by that. And these are some reading material that we're going to send you very soon. 8 ways to manage remote team members more effectively. Execute your strategic goals and create breakthrough results in these tough times. I'm just getting that back for you. Just give me a second, please. Vikas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Look at that. Are my remote employees actually working? When I'm saying actually working, you're not suspecting them at all. When you read this tool set, this article set, you'll say, oh yeah, are they really actually, have they been productive? Can I help them? Because a lot of people in remote working today are finding it extremely difficult because the situation and the circumstances and the environment these people are working on within the offices that you have is not the one that they have at home. So it's so different. So they need your and my support. 8 ways to better manage ambiguity and uncertainty. So I'm coming back again. These articles are coming your way. These tool sets are coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. Over the next few days, will be constantly. There are some other questions I saw in the chat box. Will we get this presentation? Oh, surely. Will you be able to see some of these videos once again? Oh, surely. Absolutely. Will there be a recording of this particular webinar? If you need so, happy to provide them to you, ladies and gentlemen. So coming back, 8 ways to manage ambiguity and uncertainty. Are my remote employees actually working, and how can I help them? Execute your strategic goals and create breakthrough results. 8 ways to manage remote teams. And very interestingly, achieving results in unpredictable time. Execute with excellence, increase trust, achieve more transformational spheres. If I click on this and you click on this, you will get to see a tool, you get to see a video, you'll get to see some skill sets. Will be fantastic. So in your time that you're now getting towards a lot of your quality development time that you're getting for yourself and your team at home, possibly, please spend some time on this and come back fully charged, fully empowered with all the stuff that you're doing for yourself, and come back and contribute meaningfully back for our companies and employees that we've been working and who are looking up to us when we come back, that what will happen once things sail out. So we're coming with this. So I was talking about these slides, and I'm coming back again to that. So we'll give you tool sets, we'll give you skill sets to read and kind of look into that. Very interestingly, motivate your teams to use this work from home to connect meaningfully to themselves, as I said, their loved ones, and surely with their clients. Don't forget them at all. Now, clients are God. A client is God. That's what Mahatma Gandhi also said, I believe. And I mean it, because they are there, we are there. And we are there, then we'll make them there. So it's like a beautiful symbiotic relationship. So ensure best productivity also when you're working from home. And this is some of the stuff that will come to you, will give you some of the reading material and tool sets to then work with yourself and with your team, and specifically virtually in these days, as we said. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm moving forward and says how and when you and your team choose to work and their self-care will make all the difference to your results today. How and when. Very important words. And no compromise on your self-care at all. I like this. I'm more or less towards my last slide. I like this concept called being a 24-carat manager. This is a beautiful book written by a friend and an old colleague of mine. His name is Chester Elton. A lovely book to read. It's called Become a 24-carat Manager. And a carat basically is something which says start appreciating and rewarding people. And I think this is the time when appreciation, at least, if not reward, appreciation for the work, appreciation for the circumstances, appreciating them for being in these times with us all together is possibly required more. And I used to always say, hey, what do you mean by carrot? Is it carrot and stick? It says not at all. There is no stick. If today is in the knowledge worker age, anything works. It's just the right kind of reward. Doesn't mean money always, but the right kind of reward for your team. So become a 24-carat manager, as he says. So appreciate, listen, think of them, involve, create success, effective rewards, public appreciation is what needs to be done. Being there will help. Being there will help. Last two of the very critical action principles that we are talking: think new, think better, and innovate. Just to bring back a little bit of a little smile and fun element into this little presentation. We are in the last 7 odd minutes of this particular presentation. I would like Vikas to run one more video. It's a little fun video. It's a commercial of a cold drink which we finally bought over, but it's a damn good, and we run it in some of our programs. So new and better video, if Vikas, if you can run one for me, please.
Sure, sir. Please stop screen sharing, sir.
I will stop screen sharing here. And here I do. I stopped it. Volume. Sorry, but I just thought in these tough times, a little bit of a smile might just help. So, this is a very famous Brazilian footballer. Sorry, I've forgotten his name, but yeah, he doesn't play for Brazil anymore. But I hope we get into get into the stadiums again. We are missing our cricket. We are missing our football. I don't know how many of you are basketball fans. The NBA has stopped. I am in a hardcore follower, and suddenly everything seems to be going here and there. So it's so imperative that we start to get to see some of this stuff that we want to, and I'm quite hopeful that in the days to come, in the weeks to come, we would see the changes that are happening. Because is my slideshow back?
Yes, sir.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks. Thank you very much. And so innovate, think new and better, and become a high trust leader. My next slide is very interesting. I'll click on this, and it takes you to 13 behaviors of high trust leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, very interesting slide. These 13 behaviors used by us overtly will make us the best high trust leader that we want to be today. I think this applies to all of us. The first 5: talk straight, demonstrate respect, create transparency, right on wrongs, show loyalty. These 5 help us build character and competence. If you remember character and competence from trust, the first 5 help us build character. The next 5: deliver results, get better, confront reality, clarify expectations, practice accountability, helps us build competence of high trust leaders. And the next 3: listen first, keep commitments, and extend trust, help us build both. I'm going to leave this slide in front of you for just about 10 seconds. My request to you is that in this current crisis situation, in your current teams, at home, at work, there are no teams at home, but there are families at home, loved ones at home, with them and with your teams, being a team member or a team leader or a team manager or supervisor that you are. My request would be pick up 1 from the first 5, pick up 1 from the next 5, and pick up 1 from the 11th, 12th, and 13th high trust leader behaviors. Pick up 1 that you feel you would immediately start using overtly from the moment this particular webinar ends to influence your teams towards higher degree of care and their prosperity. I'm leaving it for 10 seconds. Somebody might be thinking that, can I get a little bit to read on it? Yeah, surely. We'll send you some stuff to read on each one of them. Worth a read. So, and I think the last comment makes it all. How your team sees you in the current situation will have a huge impact on their behavior and their results. I'm again saying, how your team sees you in the current situation, how your family sees you in your current situation will have a huge impact on their behavior and their results, whatever are those results. So we'll have to really focus on our circle of influence, be extremely safe, be extremely responsible as human beings, as citizens of this country, as citizens of this world. Make sure that our loyalty towards our clients and our customers and our employees is maintained. Make sure that we communicate with them the highest degree of trust and highest degree of humility and loyalty. We definitely give them new ideas, take new ideas, push them into newer thinking, because newer models will emerge, and ensure that the businesses are back the way they should be. Will they be back tomorrow? Not at all. Will they be back day after tomorrow? Not at all. The kind of mayhem that has happened, it won't be back soon, but it will be back. It will be back, not too late also. They will be back. So we all have to contribute by staying safe on this. This was our endeavor, ladies and gentlemen, to take you through our first level of webinars of contributing and showcasing and presenting to you some of the wonderful path-breaking research and work some of our business leaders globally, like Dr. Stephen Covey, late Dr. Stephen Covey, late Dr. Clayton Christensen, late Dr. Jack Welch. This year has been painful. We lost 2 of them. Dr. Jack Welch, the big man, the big ex-chairman of and CEO of GE, who was also on our global board, and also a big contributor of content to Franklin Covey. Dr. Clayton Christensen, the man who understood innovation the biggest. They are the contributors to some of the content that I've brought in front of you. Dr. Stephen Covey for sure. Dr. Ram Charan, the famous Dr. Ram Charan, the glory of India. Dr. Mohan Khalsa, the guy who talks a lot about what sales and sales performance is all about, customer loyalty is about, through Dr. Fred Reichel, Chairman Emeritus, Baines & Company. Some of these names are path-breaking. They've been constantly contributing to our content. Chris McChesney, Stephen M.R. Covey, some big names, some really powerful names. Hiram Smith, again, very sad to say, late Dr. Hiram Smith. This year, three very key people left us. It's been in the last 6-7 months, 5-6 months, 3 very key people left us, 3 big names. I pray to God that their soul rests in peace and wherever they are, they are happy and smiling on us, and I hope their blessings come back to the content that they've been giving to the world. And we brought it for you. We've been practicing it. We will bring it further more. We will try our endeavor. Our focus will be to get as much as we can. We will be conducting, if you feel that such a webinar for 30 minutes, 60 minutes is worth it, we will like to conduct it more in the days to come. Give us your thoughts, your comments, how you want to take this forward with us. If you need more specific ones, we'll be happy to bring to you with no obligation from yourself to this is no endeavor for us to promote anything. This endeavor is purely in this current situation to ensure that we get back the energies and the smiles and the motivation back for all of us. As much as you are there, ladies and gentlemen, approximately 170 odd, 80 odd people who joined this thing right from the beginning is great motivation from us. So I must really thank each one of you on the call and get my camera on once again and say namaste. Thank you very much. It was great knowing you all, and we look forward to conduct more for you. If you have ideas and comments and thoughts, send us. We'll include it in our next webinar whenever we are holding that. All the very best. Stay very safe and focus on your productivity and your loved ones and your team. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.